Hey friends, so in this video, we'll be talking about one of the biggest mistakes that we've seen small business owners make and how they're potentially wasting or burning away their advertising dollars. We found a reason why your leads are not becoming your raving fans. Watch this video to find out what it is. Okay, so let's back up for a second. We've been running lead generation ads for small local service-based businesses for a couple of years, and we've started paying attention to two things that can really determine if we take on a client or not. One is how good their sales process is, and number two is how good their customer experience is. Now, these two things are not they are outside of our control as an advertising agency, but we know that it affects the performance of our ad campaigns very much. Now, we're going to talk about sales in another video, but in this video, we'll be talking about what happens when you get your customer experience wrong and how you can strategically think about customer experience to improve the results on your ad campaigns. So let me fill you in on a secret. You might have the most amazing service. You have the most amazing prices. You have the greatest staff, the greatest technicians, and the equipment in the world. You might also have the best advertising agency at your disposal. But I'm telling you, none of that will matter if you got your customer experience wrong. It's kind of like your company culture. So customer experience is not something that you give to your customer, but it's something they feel. How do they feel before they come into your location? How do they feel when they're at your location? And how do they feel after they've left? If you can figure out how to make them feel amazing outside of providing your core service, you have one of the most potent marketing tools at play, which is word of mouth. And also, you have a better shot at client retention or customer retention and drive them to spend more with you and open up their wallets over the long term. So let's go through a couple of examples, one of a bad customer experience that I personally faced and a good one that I've personally faced. The first one is a gym that I signed up for a free trial week. And I told them that I'm interested in joining their spinning class. I get to the gym. No one told me that I'd have to spend at least 15 minutes checking in, so I didn't budget for that, and the class had already started. I get to my class, and the instructor tells me that I had to pre-book the class before I came in, not knowing that I'm a new customer. The person on the phone that was selling me didn't tell me any of this. The person at the counter didn't tell me any of this. And the instructor didn't really care that I was a new potential customer and they just wanted to follow their rules. Now, in contrast, here's a good customer experience. Again, I sign up for a 3-day trial this time. I get a call from a person who politely introduced themselves, asked me about my goals, where I live, how far the gym is, and they told me how to prepare for my first trip, including what to bring. I get there and I'm greeted by the instructor, and they knew me by name, and they told me that they would go easy on me that day, and they kept a good eye on me. After the workout, I was met with another staff member who sat down with me to ask me how my experience was. Complete game changer. The way you treat your first-time potential customer changes the kind of relationship you would have with them. So now I turn the question over to you. Which one sounds more like your business? Are you deliberately putting thought and effort into your customer experience, or are you just stuck being basic? And most businesses, when they start, they operate at basic levels, right? You just need to provide the service that you've sold. And then after some time, when you start growing, you start paying attention to your finances, to your location, to your team and your staff. But are you paying attention to your customer experience? So I do want to mention at this point that customer experience is not just about feelings. It can be somewhat measured, and you can do that using numbers or these metrics that I'm about to share. So number one, have a look at your conversion rates. So what percentage of your prospects end up becoming customers? Have a look at your churn rate. So what percentage of your customers don't ever come back, or they come once or twice but they never come back? And the last metric that you can measure is your referral rate. So what is the total number of new prospects referred per customer? Now, if these numbers are not moving in the direction that you would like, then you need to perform an analysis into your customer journey and I'll talk about what that means. So the customer journey map or the customer experience map, this is something I picked up when I worked in the tech industry for a few years. And let me tell you something, there's a reason why all of us are hooked to our phones and the apps. The tech giants are not taking a chance. They are deliberately designing this customer experience or user experience as they call it. And they're not trying to operate at basic levels. And there's no reason why we can't borrow that framework for our own business. So a few months after hiring our first employee, we actually sat down to make our very first customer journey map, and I'm going to walk you through what it looked like at the time. Okay, so let's walk you through the customer journey map or the customer experience map that we came up for our agency, which is Digitalina, and the relationship that we have with our clients. So the first thing that we did on this board is we separate the client portion and our portion as the agency. The second thing you need to do, let me zoom in, is to label out all the steps that the client is going to have with you. So the prospecting phase, the onboarding, the first campaign development, first launch, all the way till they start getting bookings and conversions, and we do monthly reviews with them. Right, so far so good. Now we need to plan out the exact steps that the customer needs to perform at this step of the journey, and we need to perform at that stage of the journey. Once we have mapped all of that out, as you can see, we get quite busy here. We started looking at what we think are the pain points. So things that are potentially going to cause frustration to us or the customer. And we also try to get in green some gain points. We didn't get a lot of them. But the whole point of this exercise was to get these ideas to wow our customer in some way or improve the experience in some way as well. So we got a bunch of ideas here, which is pretty cool, and that informed how we can, give a bit more substance to our service. If you're wondering what that horse is, I was trying to tell the team that you can bring a horse to the water, but you can't make it drink, and I couldn't find another picture for it. But anyways, aside from that, this is a pretty easy exercise for you to do. So easy peasy, right? You can actually try this out for yourself. Keep in mind these three things when you're building out your customer journey map. Number one, decide on what you're going to do, which is your service. So lay down all the steps in your service like we did. Number two, discover what your customer really wants. And you can mark that out at every step. What do they really want in that step in the journey? And lastly, deliver exactly what the customer wants plus 1%. So I got this concept of plus 1% from Raving Fans, this book right here, a revolutionary approach to customer service. And it's also written as a fable, so it's way more fun to read it than you think. But this concept of 1%, this is where the magic happens. These are the points in the journey of the customer that you can actually wow them. These are the points where you're going to go over and above, even if it's just 1%. You don't always have to spend on your customer experience. You can always go over and above without actually spending an extra penny. Maybe you're using a bit more of your time, so you give more time for the service, or you extend a conversation or their appointment. Or you could, every 5th visit or every 10th visit, give them a visit free. Or 50% off, surprise them, right? It doesn't always have to cost you money. So another book that I'd recommend on discovering more wow factors is actually this book called Hook. And it's written by Nir Eyal. I hope I'm saying that name right. But this book is written for tech products. Again, I don't see a reason why you can't borrow the frameworks that the tech giants are using on us to help improve our own businesses. Okay, let me turn it over to you now. How intentional is your customer experience? Are you operating just at basic levels? Did this video give you any ideas that you could start implementing today? How could you wow your customers just 1% at a time? Let me know in the comments below. I hope you liked this video. I'll see you in the next one.